Ooh, okay.
There we go.
Oh, hello there, chat. So this is a pretty successful turnout for an indie game. But we got the developer here with us, so like we have a stream and a camera, so we're gonna ask questions because that's what you do.
Yeah.
So that was
I'm down.
That was a pretty good showing. I guess the first question is how'd you think it went? How'd you feel about what the players were doing? How did that challenge your expectations as a developer?
100%. I was amazed to see this many book players. We've had a couple of like low-key tournaments, or we're at a con and people just play a bunch. And Rosie is always the most popular character. Maybe she's the strongest. She definitely is like the easiest to learn. So she's very pick up and play. And we've noticed that, at the beginning of the weekend, people like try all the characters. And then on Sunday of ECT, there were so many, as Soup calls them, Rosie stacks. Just like Grand Finals was 3 Rosies versus 3 Rosies. And sometimes like an Alistair assist.
Yeah.
So it warmed my heart immensely to see
the book love.
All of the book love, to see the libraries, the trilogies, as you guys put it. He's such a cool character. It's so fun. He has such a goofy mirror match. I don't think Triple Book is a good team because like his assists aren't very good for him, and his DHCs are pretty bad into himself. Like he's really good for DHCing into Spear or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, getting off topic, that like what was it, losers finals match? It was amazing. It was gorgeous.
That was what. So my question then. So I remember I first got to play this. You were at a playcrafting event at Brookland.
Yes.
And it was Rosie and Book only. So there were a lot more people using Book because when there's two, it was interesting to me because even though there was 2 characters, when you have all 3, it doesn't like immediately occur to you, right, that you can just use combinations of the same character.
Yes.
But I remember when I was there, I saw a lot of people were going Rosie and 2 Books, just because. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could theorize on it. I feel like maybe it was just because this character looks confusing. I'll have 2 of them, so I have a chance to match with them or something.
Well, it's usually the opposite. If this character's confusing, I'll have 1 of them.
Right.
No, that's another good point. Like, psychologically, our very first real event, we had this at Combo Breaker. And had really good response, really good turnout. But we only had Rosie. And so it was just the 3v3 Rosie game.
Oh,
and
the meta's already been...
Yeah, from day one. It was a great place to like get testing on just general like game feel, movement. We adjusted a lot of stuff, like how juggling works after that event. And then for a while, we had the 2. And even then, we had a very simplified character selection where your choices were like 3 Rosies, 3 Books, or mix. And then people would like sometimes mix, sometimes they stack. I'm very curious, as we add more characters, how much players will want to continue to stack. Like, I at a tournament like this, when we have 3 characters, I want to give you the option to stack, because if you just hate Book, you shouldn't have to put him on your team, because there isn't another character to pick. But definitely, like, long-term, once we fill out the roster, once we have 8 characters, my plan is that, like, if you're playing in a tournament, if you're playing an online ranked, you can't duplicate characters. But if you're playing local versus or even in casual queue, why not? Have fun.
That's cool. So you'll honor the stacks.
I'll honor it, yeah.
That's cool. I dig that.
For fun. Because when I was a kid and I was getting into Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you know what my favorite team was?
Oh.
Triple Akuma.
I was gonna say cable.
I wasn't smart enough to do cable.
Because I remember in Marvel 1, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Panda, because I'm secretly a Zoomer. Marvel 1, you couldn't stack, but you had like secret characters.
Yeah.
To, like cheat. Like I did double War Machine because someone sent me the cheat code.
Yes. They're different.
Right.
Like the other War Machine is super slow and has infinite armor, and
that was fun. That was awesome.
I used to play Lilith Morrigan, but until I got tired of putting in the Lilith code because she sucks.
Yeah. I remember reading something about that. They're like, the only reason to use Lilith in 1 is just to have 2 Morrigans.
Yeah.
But another question that I have for you. So it's not immediately obvious because the different art style and whatnot. But you did Tough Love Arena.
That's correct.
And I know a lot of people were a big fan of that. I think I went to school with the artist, actually. She didn't know me, I did remember hearing about that through my school.
That's awesome.
How has working on Tough Love colored your perspective on like making a new fighting game? Like, how is that? Things you've learned, things you wanted to do differently.
I mean, it's a very interesting question. It's very open, so I'll try to narrow it, I guess. Like, yeah, Tough Love was my first fighting game, my first real game of any scope that I spent more than like 2 weekends on. And I very quickly learned, me and the artist Amy, that was like going to be like a 3-month collab or something.
Yeah.
And then, oops, 5 years later, and the game's not
That's how it
finished yet. It's very close. It's almost done. But I learned a lot. I'm very proud of Tough Love Arena. But as soon as I started a new game, I was able to go so much faster. I was able to skip so many mistakes. Writing netcode for both of them. I'm not going to spend like 3 months having a broken clock sync and not understand what's going wrong.
Right.
I was able to do stuff with more forethought on just like handling multiple bodies better, which is necessary because Tough Love is like Street Fighter oriented 1v1. This is 3v3. Certain assumptions you can make in a Street Fighter game about like how many things you have to check collisions for or what can interact with what now changes when you have assists. And sometimes they have push boxes for one player but not for the other player, so that way they can sort of sit next to you but then still push them out. It gets way more messy, and this game I was able to make so much cleaner that when I go back to work on Tough Love Arena once a week, it's pretty hard. It's just like the code is brutal.
No, I know what you mean. It's like even I've had times like at work, like I'll forget to save, and then I'll be like, well, you know what? The second time I'm doing it, not only it's going to be better and it's going to be faster.
Yeah.
That's just how game dev works. So my question then to you, this is a little more for me. What's it made of?
Yes. So for that context, Tough Love Arena, they're both browser games, if the audience is not aware.
I did not know that this one right here is actually a browser game.
Yes, because I forgot to disable a setting. If you look at the tournament footage, every time a match would end, you'd see the browser bar because it downloads the replay file. So it would flash for like 10 seconds and then hide itself again. Yes, they're both browser games. Tough Love Arena was written completely from scratch, just using HTML5 and Canvas and TypeScript transpiled to JavaScript, but no traditional engine. Don't do that. I would not recommend it. It gave me certain powers, and like I don't regret it per se for myself because that is the domain I'm comfortable working in, and I was able to leverage certain things for like the P2P netcode because I was writing, directly on the APIs. I wasn't having to deal with the layer abstraction. But it introduced some bottlenecks, like the performance on Tough Love Arena graphically is pretty poor. There's limited things we can draw. Like I wanted to have more movement in the backgrounds, but it just hurt performance too much because I'm using this outdated Canvas API. This game, also a browser game, I am kind of using an engine. It's this new experimental engine that isn't out yet. They're probably going to announce sometime next year. But they approached me late last year saying, hey, we're about a year in. We want to start having some games developed with us so we can get feedback on what we need to build, what's broken, what's working. Would you like to be one of these games? And we're going to, support browser. So I've been working closely with this unnamed engine team.
That's really
And
sick.
in exchange for, giving them all this feedback and putting up with an engine that breaks all the time, they've been helping fund development, which has been super huge, and I'm very grateful.
That's awesome.
But all of that said, I can take full credit for all of the logic, all of the gameplay. Have a good one. Everything you sort of play is still written by me from scratch, but they are helping me solve that graphics issue and solve the controller issue. It's still in progress. You might have noticed we had some controller issues earlier. But
remember we were talking about even just with button mappers and whatnot.
Yeah, but if
you
you
did
ever
a good job pulling all the controllers, all the ones you brought. You brought a lot of stuff.
I made sure it worked. I made sure it
shout
worked.
out.
And it's still early days, but if you've ever tried to plug in a controller with Tough Love Arena, it's a process. So I'm very grateful to have their help with that kind of stuff. Those really hard technical problems like rendering. And so now we have parallax, and we can have multiple bodies on screen, and she can throw 20 grenades and it doesn't crash. And all that stuff I'm depending on them for, but everything else is me.
That makes me curious. There's so many questions I'm gonna ask, but a little one that sticks out to me now is like the choice of having like here's a super where there's like a billion grenades. Are there choices you make specifically like because you have the ability to do that now, where it's like, oh, I can put 20 grenades. That's a super. We're doing that now.
Nah. I mean, the big one that I felt unleashed was like, we're going to do so much more with the backgrounds.
Right.
I wanted to do that with Tough Love. We couldn't. We have, right now, the main stage, the city stage, is a day version and a night version. They have 3 layers, but the night version also has like these blinking lights on top of the buildings. And we're going to try and get some elements that are kind of interactive. So when you do like a big launcher, the little vending machine will bounce and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's fun.
That's the stuff like I'm really excited to sort of exploit the engine for. More mechanically, I mean, I've even had thoughts about like, should we remove the 20 grenades and make it like 5 big grenades just to not, test things? Because she does. If you DHC it 3 times, if you like throw 15 DHC, 15 DHC, 20. It starts chugging. You see it. You see it.
Well, Panda, you've seen the classic when you do the Faust. You go into exert training mode, or it happened with Strive, right? I don't remember which one he was using.
No, it was an exit where like if you throw 10 oils and then 10 bombs, the game literally crashes because there's just too much happening on the screen.
100%. At ECT, I did some optimization for tonight, and I'm glad it worked out really well. Because at ECT, just doing one bomb super like halved the FPS. And so there was a strategy that developed where you would do it once, DHC, and then it slowed down so much, and it would speed up when it was done, that you could do an completely unreactable mix. The game like stopped and then played in fast forward, and people would start calling it like Time Stone.
See, that's such like the thing about fighting game players.
It's fun.
They're the
it's super
best
cool.
QA team you could ask for,
It's
right?
so fun.
Oh my! I wouldn't even like think of that. That's crazy. So that's actually, I think that's like really cool that you specifically are using like an unannounced engine kind of as like a backdrop, right? Because like I'm an Unreal guy just because I do art, so it's easy. And this is not like a downplay on like Unity or anything like that. I know people say trying to make a 2D game in Unity. I heard this adage. It's like trying to cut a bonsai tree with a chainsaw. Like you can do it. So to hear how different the development process is behind the curtain, to get a game that honestly is very impressive visually.
Thank you.
Runs great. I think it's awesome that you got everything figured out between like what controllers to bring. I was impressed that even though you were like, oh, we got to use certain controllers, like hot swapping worked. It just worked on that little USB hub. So you got that You got that stuff unlocked. I guess another question that I have. First off, actually, who's your favorite to play?
In the game?
Yeah. What's your team of choice?
I love all my children equally.
But the balance.
The answer is usually whoever I made most recently.
Oh, that makes sense.
But so I've had a lot of fun with Alistair. They're not made in the order as presented on Character Select. It's a long story. I won't bother. I've been having a lot of fun with Alistair specifically because he has these really messed up loops that you can do that use a lot of mediums and lights so it doesn't trigger IPS. It's not going to be in there forever. And he's got some kind of dirty stuff. But it's book. Like, the real answer is book. My infatuation with Alistair will end, and then I'll go back to the book.
He's always home. He's always there home for you.
He's got a lot of different situations he can create, and I'm a sucker for the parry. It used to be like a super parry, and I was hoping like you could have the mind games like DHCing into it or something. But the cost was just too high. It felt too swingy, and it just became like an unattractive option. So I was super excited like a month ago when we moved it to just being special, and then you could hold it, and you could just read a book. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll add some like passive meter gain to it or something. So if they don't want to engage with
first,
you,
the developer bias.
maybe you could just sit on the edge of the stage and just little page turn.
I like that. I play Raven in Exert, and you got the stance, like your parry, and if you just hold it, it just builds his, the resource he gets from the stance will build passively anyway.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you do it, people will be like, I gotta go in.
Yeah.
But like, he could pop a super while he's in it too. It's like level 1 fundamentals in fighting games, because you just go up and you block, but...
The one downside to a mechanic like that, I learned this from Tough Love Arena. I added something similar. The parry, one of the parries in Tough Love where Beef flexes and goes, and the pecs bounce. That builds a little bit of meter even on whiff. And the week after I added it, I'm watching the weekly online tournament, and match starts, and two beefs just sit there flexing at each other. It's just like key charging.
Yeah.
And then the match doesn't start for like 15 seconds, and that's like kind of fun, but it can also get kind of painful to watch.
It becomes like the meta, right? It's like,
Yeah.
all right, if these two are going to be at round start, then you know the match doesn't start for another 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
I totally get you. I agree with that because it's like, it's cool when you're playing the game. You know, my dark history where I had played Smash 4 in college, and there was Cloud, and it were 2 Clouds, and you would limit at the start because you could cancel limit into shield, cancel shield in the jump into up smash, so you can't approach. So there would be the gentleman's charge. And as a player, I'm like, I would go online, right? And I'd be like, I'm going to charge. And then the other guy would do it and be like, yeah. But then when I got into game design, I'm like, well, this sucks. Because now the game doesn't start longer. It makes you think, like, how do we get people to that state they're trying to get to immediately?
Yeah.
Or not as a design decision.
100%. As a designer, the players are just going to optimize for what's good,
Yep.
not what's fun. So you need to make what's good fun. And if being lame and running away is good, then they're going to do it.
Yeah.
If not fighting is good, they're going to do it. But I still do want to have gentlemanly mechanics. Like, I love that. I used to love that in Street Fighter 4 when you'd see two Fuertes meet in ranked, and they'd spend the first, like, 10 seconds, like, dancing.
Yeah.
And running back and forth and taunting and viva viva. So I'm trying to bake some of these mechanics in. They didn't come up in tournaments. Some of them are more hidden than others. Specifically for every mirror match, I'm putting in some little gimmick. So Rosie, she can, throw her bomb and then hit it. And the other Rosie can hit it back.
Oh,
so you can do a little tennis match.
Oh my god. See, I've been saying as an exit player, I'm like, Venoms should be able to hit each other's pool sets, like their pool balls. That would be crazy.
Now, that one's pretty easy to discover. Books is much more esoteric. If you hold special for 2 seconds and then press light in a direction, it reuses one of his like lights animation where he sort of does this palm, but then it'll turn into rock or paper or scissors. And if you both do it at the same time, the game will pause and it's a full screen instant kill hitbox.
Whatever one.
Yeah.
Can you pick which one you pull?
Yeah.
You can just RPS.
Yeah, you can decide as book players, like, do you want to just throw away this stock on RPS?
Oh my god.
That one's a little hard to find.
That is so. So you hold special in place.
Yeah.
And then you press light in a direction.
Yeah. So because I want to, for something as high stakes as that, where you die instantly, I want it to never happen on accident.
Right.
Raging Demon input.
So I'll reveal it now. Rosie has a hidden level 3 that's Raging Demon input.
Lol.
It used to instant kill, but then people abused that too much at ECT, so now it just does a lot of damage. But the gentleman who was on comms, who won the tournament, what was his name?
Acoustics.
Yeah,
Acoustics. Acoustics, when we played some sets earlier, I had to start pulling that out in order to get wins. And then
he wanted to know how to do it.
Yeah, he
you
was
would
badgering
tell
me
him.
all night how to do it. I was like, you don't need it, man. You don't need it.
Man, see, that's truly the best part about being a developer.
Yeah, you get to
You get to
have
put
fun with it.
crazy shit in there. That's awesome. A couple other questions. I don't want to keep us too late. I know Austin's gonna pack up his PC in a minute.
Thank you, Austin.
A couple that I have, I guess, is how do you envision the future of this game? Like, what's next? What can we hope to see with like later updates as you continue working on it?
100%. So as you can see from this character select screen, there's planned 8 characters. That's what I want for sort of a full release roster. I'm hoping that that's enough to get enough variety in a 3v3 tag game. But when we release, if reception is good, if sales are good enough, I would love to continue to release characters post-launch. But that's just like the arbitrary lineup driven of that's when the game will be done. Given our current timeline, that's probably about 2 years away, because we're 1 year in and we have somewhere between 1 and 3 characters. But as you can see, we've built most of the core game loop.
Right, that's definitely the longest part.
Yeah, there's a few mechanics that I still want to add, like alpha counters that just aren't in yet. And I think the infinite prevention can use more tuning, the damage scaling can use, there's lots of polish. But while the artist continues to work away, my wonderful artist team, Savvy, Soup, and Mike, while they're continuing to work on characters and VFX and backgrounds, my attention is probably going to move to building out the online play, the training room features, combo trials. So release is 2 years away. That sounds really long, and I'm impatient. I don't want to wait that long. As you may know from Tuffle Arena, that thing went into beta after 1 year and has been in beta for 4 years now. But it was playable, you know, 4 years ago.
Even what we have right here, I think it's awesome because I've always learned the ethos of, not to interrupt, but a good way to put it. I worked in an internship a long time ago. We made where we got thrown in a room and was like, make a mobile game. It can be whatever you want. And we were told you have to copy something pre-existing and twist it. So we did an endless runner back when that was a big thing. Temple Run type stuff. It was 3-lane. We added we wanted a combat mechanic where you could swipe up to punch stuff. And our producer would not let us touch the combat mechanic. He's like, no, you can't add that in yet, because the game I'm playing without it sucks. And we're like, yeah, but then when we put the combat mechanic in, he's like, no, the game needs to be good, and then you can put the combat in. And I think that says a lot. What we played today, you're talking about oh, there's all the polished years of beta and this and that. The core game that we're playing, I mean, you saw, we got videos of it. People love it.
No, they're getting
did a great job on it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so it's only gonna get better.
Thank you. So what we're planning to do because we're going to these wonderful events and people get really invested and hey, where can I play this? I'm like, you can't.
And I find the next event we're gonna be at.
Yeah, I can't expect them to sit around and wait for 2 years and still be interested. So we are hopefully going to launch a online network test next month.
Ooh, okay.
Because it's a browser game, I'm just if you join the mailing list or the Discord, both available at scrambleheart.city or scrambleheartcity.com. Then you'll get an email that says, here's the URL. This is going to work for this weekend. Play the game. Fill out a form. Share it with your friends.
Wow.
And so I'm just crunching to get the core for that, which is button mapping, so wider controller support, and getting that basic one-on-one netcode working so you can play with your friend, because not everyone has the luxury of playing locally.
Right.
And then I want to do those on a regular basis. So, the next alpha playtest, whether it's a month or two after that, it's then we have a fourth playable character, and let's collect feedback on that. And sort of drip feed people something to keep them engaged and enjoying the game and giving us feedback so we don't go in the wrong direction. All until we get to either... these are nice trees.
I was gonna say, it's a nice screensaver.
All until we get to either an alpha release late next year, or we go into a Kickstarter. It really just depends on how the budget looks in about 8 months.
Yeah, I mean it's tough these days, right? As an indie game, even just to keep the lights on, roadmaps in alpha are just a thing now. That's just so. I got to give you big props for making the time to come out here and actually bring the whole entourage out and get it set up, and taking the time, because I saw you were saying you were working on a patch in the middle of ECT. Did it have to do it at all with the time stone?
I fixed that last night on the subway. I started taking my laptop on the subway.
See,
I have
guys,
a life.
This is no, but I need people to understand. I need people to understand how much work it is to make a game. So if you ever complain about the price of a game, hold that shit.
I was hanging out with my friend in Upper East Side. I live in Bushwick. It took me an hour and a half to get home. So when I wasn't on the L, because it's impossible to sit down there.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah.
On the other trains, I was able to sit down, and I fixed the grenade slowdown bug. And then in the cab ride here, I was fixing the transition from attract mode, because we went to Brookland for playcrafting 2 nights ago, and discovered with my new menu systems, if you get into attract mode where it starts playing the match, then the menus get all messed up. So never-ending battle.
But of course.
But yeah, just to make sure that everyone here had a good experience, a good seamless play experience.
I guess I should probably try to make this one more question or something, so I don't keep you guys here forever. Oh God, there's so many. I have so many questions. It's
we can do the rest offline. I'm happy to keep talking.
I guess I'll keep it simple. Is there anything you would like to say, to chat about what it's been like working on the game, or any advice you would impart to anyone else who would take on the duty of making a fighting game?
Ooh, okay. So the first thing I would want to say is just thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Joey, and everyone else for playing and giving us a space. And I believe that you guys are having fun with it and enjoying it, but I also realize it's not the same as playing a game with 3 characters. It could be a novelty, but it's also your time is precious, and I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for how positive people have generally been in giving us a chance, so that they get in and see, oh yeah, this is actually fun.
Yeah.
So I continue to be grateful for that, and thank you so much. And if you want to follow the game, again, join one of those Discord, social mailing list. I do dev streams every now and then. If you join the Discord, everything's in there. Advice for other people. I'd say my 2 biggest pieces of advice for someone who wants to make a fighting game is, 1, it's the advice for anyone trying to make anything. Start with as small scope as possible. Depending on your experience level, even if you're really experienced, just if you decide I'm going to make Marvel 3 with a cast of 30 characters, you're going to fail. It's just not going to finish. I feel ambitious making Marvel 3 with 8 characters, but I only feel like I can do that because I've spent the last 5 years making Tough Love Arena, and I have that experience under my belt and the connections that has given me for playtesting on resources and everything else. So just start small. I made 1 million micro games before Tough Love Arena that taught me how to do keyboard inputs, game loops, graphics, physics in the browser, so that when I got to Tough Love, the only new part was the fighting part. Right. And, hitbox, damage, design type stuff. But all the mechanics of the coding were very rote at that point. So do yourself a favor, start small, finish, and then upgrade. And the second piece of advice for fighting game designers specifically is be humble. Because people will play your game, and they will take issue with it. And they'll have hot takes, and it's very tempting to get defensive. It's very easy, especially when it's like...
Well, it's your baby on screen.
It's your baby, but it's just in the same way that anyone's had a balance argument of actually, my main is low tier, and you're trash for not being able to beat it. Now you're having that about a character you made, and you feel this irresistible urge to explain it to them of yeah, this character seems busted to you, but that's just because you're bad and you're ignorant. And actually, the problem you're describing, I realized that 3 months ago, and I already fixed it. Don't do that. Every time I've done it, I've regretted it. Just take the feedback, say thank you for caring enough about the game to give me feedback and want it to improve. If they continue to have concerns, you can tell them about it. And oftentimes, I'll come out with a great idea. Someone will be like, I hate it. I'm like, oh, they're just a hater. And then 5 more people will be like, this isn't a good idea. And I'm like, oh, crap. Oops. Because I'm just a fighting game player. I have my favorite characters. I have my favorite genres. I have blind spots. And I'm trying to make a game for everyone. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy for me to, give a lot of love to, the Rushdown character because I don't play zoners. But that doesn't mean the zoner should be bad.
Exactly.
So
right. And it's how do you get in the head of someone who loves zoners? As a designer, it's really interesting how the wider your scope is as far as a demographic, right? Fighting game players is a niche.
Yeah.
But the
it's
niches
a big niche.
within that, there's countless niches.
Yeah.
You'll get people go I love zoners, and then they don't even know how to play a zoner. They just play Rushdown Axel.
Yeah, but maybe they love something about it aesthetically. How can you capture that? How can you make sure that they're served? So, and the first way to learn that stuff is to listen. So.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Always listen. I was pretty stoked about how many people actually sat down and gave it a show. I think the banner really works. Really. I know you got that printed probably for like a major, and you're like, I'm bringing this everywhere.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, it works. It works. It's great. Well, I'm excited that we got to hear that there's going to be a playtest in a month. We'll be sure to promote it.
Thank you.
Locally grown New York FGC.
Mm-hmm.
You got to prop up the even more locally grown New York game dev for the FGC.
Thank you.
So it was great. It was great having you. Thanks for shout outs to the rest of the team.
100%. Shout outs to everyone at Next Level. It was wonderful being here. I haven't been here since like 2015. I used to come by for Big 2, and then I lost so much money I decided to stop coming. But I love the new venue, the new old venue, and it's great to be here, and everyone has been super nice and supportive, and I'd love to come back.
Cool. Well, keep an eye out, guys. Scrambleheart.city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good URL. Good URL.
Thank you.
We'll post we'll retweet some of like your socials and stuff like that too. You guys saw the socials all over the place. Check it out. Make sure you join the Discord if you want all the latest. And that sounds great. In about a month or so. And I know game dev can take time, so we won't hold you to that.
Yeah, a month.
But keep your eyes peeled. You'll get a URL. You can just play for a weekend. Sounds great.
Love to have you try it. Thank you, Joey.
Thanks for being here, Paul.